How's your drain flowing, Wiggy?
My drain's flowing good.
Good.
Mike. I don't know about yours.
How's yours?
Good.
I got to tell you,
Strong to quite strong.
I was here Friday night for the show. Looked like it was
I didn't
flowing,
notice.
Looked like it was flowing pretty good during the walkout there. I mean,
I was
that's
nervous.
That's street cred
But it
right
did
there.
okay.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm assuming you
How
guys.
was vacation?
It was good.
These guys were having fun while you were gone.
No, you took a shot at me for vacation, like something about Myrtle Beach or something like that. I mean,
Well, I just thought that would be somewhere where you would.
that I would
Everybody
go.
kind of agreed.
I
that
looked at
that-
Myrtle Beach. I mean,
Kinda.
Really?
I mean, from what I can remember.
I mean,
I've been there numerous times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good spot.
Putt-putt was more of the
putt-putt was kind of the shot that was taking
Yeah.
me. But how did I'm assuming you and Morgan Wallen know each other from Nashville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him play in front of 1,200 people in a warehouse in like 2019, and
Wow.
yeah,
So-
he's doing pretty good for himself.
Does he? How does that work? Does he call you, or do his people call? Like, how do they lock you in for the walkout?
He handles that.
He does. Yeah. It was cool. Gronk did a good job on Saturday night. I mean, he spiked the guitar. I don't know if you saw that or not. Well, we are. Do you want? By the way, do you want some sort of a walk-up song for this interview every week? Is there?
No, I don't think we have to do that.
You don't. Okay.
Maybe a coffee, but other than
We'll
that,
get you coffee. What do you want? Black or?
Almond 3 Splenda.
Okay.
I like the almond.
So we're getting down to it here. Meaningful football in less than 2 weeks. Your first training camp here as a head coach. Are you in the same mindset as Wiggy and Ty Law, some of the old heads that we hear on our show, that guys, the way training camp is now, you can't hit enough. It's a lot of walkthroughs. It's
it's different. It's different. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm just telling you it's different. That's what some of the rules are. That's what the tracking and the science of everything, of the mileage, and just how much they're running, and the pads that you can have on certain amount of days, and just the schedule's different. And so again, we just have to make sure what we know the rules, and then we follow them and make sure that we're doing everything we can to get them prepared.
Mike,
but it's different.
Mike, it's about the balance, right? I know the balance is different, especially for preseason games. Do you feel like Drake Maye got enough reps opportunity in the preseason to make sure he's able to be prepared and ready to go week one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that through the joint practices with Washington and the volume there and the volume with Minnesota, and again, wanted to get him out there for some action. But then, I think it was all, there's a balance there. There's a balance of, how much you want to go out there and play, but you have to get out there and do a little bit and take some hits and make some throws and stand in a live pocket and all those things.
Mike, when you look back at preseason so far, for you specifically, what's been the most challenging part? Your first season as head coach here, what's the challenge that comes along with that?
Well, I mean, there's something that comes up every day. It's schedule, rain, this, that, the other, travel, guys injured, guys can't go in the morning, adjusting, practice or moving things around. That's the challenge. I think it's just to try to, have some consistent efforts, build a routine, have a flow, I think, to training camp. And I appreciate the fans that came out each and every day. And we try to build a flow and just the daily routine. And now we're switching back to, what we would consider an in-season schedule. So that was a little bit of an adjustment, and that will continue to be one from yesterday to today and moving forward. So I would say that's probably the next challenge, is just getting acclimated to a regular season schedule.
Travion Henderson said Wednesday that you and the organization have done such a great job of helping them become closer as a group. Do you see that and feel that, and what, how do you do that?
Well, I mean, I think that you just try to invest time in the players, and obviously be intentional with building a locker room. I mean, we're going to be together for a long time. It's a long season, and we don't we don't want these to be 1-year rentals. We want to try to build something with players and build around them and those pieces. And so, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of, again, there's a personal side of this business and a professional side of this business. And, hopefully we don't let those interfere with each other. And but we certainly are trying to be intentional with making connections throughout the building and between players and between coaches and players.
You talk about being intentional. How important is it to have one voice that's echoed throughout the building? I just think to the public comments, I think a week or two ago, where Eliot Wolf said, well, we're willing to trade a first or a second round pick to acquire a talent. It seems like there are multiple people speaking about the direction of the organization. And that struck me as just odd. I would never envision you saying publicly what you would be willing to trade for an asset.
Well, I mean, I think that when you talk about player acquisition, I think it depends. That's a hard question to answer without talking about who that player is. And I think that we have to go to great lengths to improve this team. And those are different options. And if that's through the draft or trading somebody or trading for a player, I'm certainly not going to speak for anybody or Eliot or anybody else, but we will have to we'll have to make sure that we invest a lot of time into what those decisions are, look at them and then say, is this what's best for the team? And then if it's not, then don't do it. But if it is, then we would have to consider it. So, the one voice or two voice, I'm saying, like, I think that it's pretty clear that, we're in alignment as an organization, what we want from our players, what we expect, what we want our identity to be, and then we'll go about trying to get there.
I know you don't want to talk about players that are on other teams, understand that, but players like that, like there are 2, maybe 3 legit playmaker additions that you could add to this football team who seem to be disgruntled. Are you guys working? Is it your philosophy, that the organization's philosophy, you want to go do whatever it takes to go and get somebody who can add to this team right now?
Well, again, we want to continue to strengthen the roster, and I don't know if that's the players that you're talking about or some other players or how that may come about. But I know we have had conversations. We'll continue to have conversations about continuing to improve the roster. And then again, if it makes sense and then we feel like it's advantageous to us, then we'll consider it.
Well, a couple of them can get after the quarterback, and one can catch the football pretty well. I won't say no names, but
thank you.
When you look at this roster, one of the guys that I think a lot of fans and you guys have high expectations for, Steph Diggs. I know we hadn't seen him throughout the whole preseason as far as the games. What's the expectation for him week 1?
That he's ready to go and that he helps us on, helps our offense, and that he helps Drake. And again, I think that they're building a connection. I think that there's, we've played a lot of different receiver combinations, and I think that that's been good, whether that be in the red zone yesterday or in the 2-minute drive. And, guys are rolling in there and kind of finding a role. And, so again, I think the expectations are high for all of us, whether that be Steph Diggs or Drake or me or Kyle Williams or anybody out there. The expectations, this is professional football. So, but his attitude's been good. He's had a willingness, and I've decided to keep him out of those preseason games that you mentioned.
So that was not. I think one of the great things about being able to interview you is you get to. There's a lot of nonsense that floats around. You get to come on this show and clear it up for all of us. So you deciding to keep him out of games, nothing to do with.
He's gotten a lot of reps. He's gotten a lot of reps, and
so you're happy with him.
Yeah, I think where he's at. He's been able to string days together, and whether they've held him out of individual and brought him out for team, or I'm just trying to get each guy what they need to be ready for the season.
When you were asked about Jalen Polk last week, you said, rats. Is there a rat problem that you have in the building? Have you figured out
you guys,
where the leaks are?
I love how you guys take everything I say.
You say rats. We got to run with it.
Really
got nervous.
We don't have much else
you guys get all
Yeah.
nervous. Yeah. There's rats all over the place.
Do you have to?
Whether that's in this building, whether that's outside this building, I just love the flow of information, and I just felt inclined, and I was pissed off because we stunk and we couldn't do anything. So I tried to entertain you guys a little bit. I was ready to get home and get back to Foxborough.
So you don't have to smoke them out?
No, I don't think that we'll have to smoke them out. I think we just want to be careful. Again, the information that gets transferred to the media, and again, we're always we always want to do right by the Patriots and his football team. I think that's the most important thing.
How difficult is it to compete when it looks like your first week roster will have only one player from the 2024 draft class? Can you compete when you have one guy from an entire class last year?
Yes.
How much more? How difficult is that as an organization to overcome?
I've never even looked at how difficult. It's hard to compete in this league. So, however, wherever the roster shakes out at, it's going to be hard to compete. Whether we have 15 guys from the draft class, or 2, or 1, or none, we'll have a roster and we'll try to figure out the best way to win each and every week, however that is, with whoever we have, just like we've always done.
And how much have you, as a new guy in the organization, scouted and seen what has transpired in the front office, and then use that to sort of say, okay, this is who we should have making decisions going forward, given what they did last year in the draft?
No, I haven't looked at that one bit. I haven't paid any attention to that. I've just tried to communicate with Ryan and Eliot and try to figure out who we need, and that's been my focus.
You're talking about Drake Maye earlier. Some panic when the quarterback is running the football. How do you balance his? I mean, he ran a lot in college. How do you balance that with the need to keep your quarterback healthy?
Well, I mean, I think that you have to be able to use his ability, whether that's to extend plays and when we drop back and throw it, or by design at times. And he just has to understand that that we're not trying to take any unnecessary risk in making sure that he protects himself and gets down and protects the football. And so I think he'll continue to do that. I think we've seen glimpses of that, and I think the more that he does it, the more comfortable he'll get and understand that. But I think you have to be able to use what he brings in his athleticism.
Mike, what's that relationship like? Because I think a lot of people, like, we look at you and we know what you've been able to accomplish in this league as a head coach. You've been very successful. And I think the relationship between you and Eliot Wolf, what's that relationship like? Because I think that you have a voice, because you wouldn't be in this position without being the Mike Vrabel that you are. Is like, okay, here's what we need to do.
Yeah. I mean,
is he on that same page with you?
Yes, I wouldn't get too caught up in that. I mean,
okay.
we meet every day. We talk. He communicates. We talk through the injuries. We talk to who we need, who's available, what we may have to do here. We met with the players, and when we had to move on from them, we met with them, and both him and I talked to them. We thanked him, and we tried to do it, like I said, as professionally as we could. This is a tough time of year, So again, this is. It really is not an issue for me, or our conversations, or how we talk, or what we need to get done. And that's what we're trying to do, whether that was in free agency or the draft or now here.
Two specific players, Drake and Will Campbell, have been talked about as kind of having Jekyll and Hyde between joint practices and then the actual preseason games. I always find it interesting. Wiggy says that he learns more about players when it comes to joint practice and how they perform in joint practice instead of the preseason games. Where do you fall there? Where do you get more out of your players and who they could be in the regular season?
Well, I think the games matter. I think they do. I think the live contact and the tackling and some things. Everybody thinks that there's a sack every single play in practice. I love that. I asked the player how many sacks he had in his career. He said 5, and I said, "You think you got 3 in practice today?" I doubt it. So, but that's how it goes. And I think that the joint practices are really good. And I think that when you talk about evaluation, you have to look at everything and who they're going against, and but the games are still important. I think to be able to do these things under, it's just a different feel, right? The play clock, the operation of everything is a little different than practice.
Speaking of stats, I think for you, preseason 2 fights, joint practice wise.
I'm telling you, you haven't been in too many fights, because those aren't fights. Those are just wrestling matches.
I love you getting right in there, though. I mean, it's like you're 25 years old again.
I just don't want to see any punches thrown. I think when they go to the ground, I just try to get in there and break it up.
No scarring on the cheek either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You recovered pretty quick. on that.
Never hit a guy with a helmet on. I learned that a long time ago. Fred Baxter punched somebody with a helmet and then broke his hand.
Freddie B.
Yeah, Freddie B. You look at this offense and you look at a guy like Will Campbell, and we've talked about this before, his nastiness, what he can do in the run game. I'd like to know how has his progression been in pass protection, right? Because, that is a huge part of especially all offensive linemen, but especially the left tackle who's protecting the blind side. How has his progression been, in your opinion?
It's been good.
All right.
Good.
The thing that we talk about with young players is just starting to build tricks of the trade, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever those are at each position, the craftiness. And that's something that, we talked to Will about and different players, outside linebackers going against some of these other guys and the tricks that they use, whether that's in the pass game or the run game. So just trying to continue to build that toolbox of just craftiness that I think help a lot of these guys take the next step, take that jump.
I know you want to win every football game. It's probably a fan media thing that the schedule comes out and we start to predict how many wins. Is that part of your process? Do you look at it?
They come in different places. They do.
Okay, so you don't sit there and go, "Hey, this team ought to be a X amount of win football team." No.
We're undefeated right now.
Do you have an idea of what is a successful season for you?
No, I've never looked at it like that. I think that there's a growth, that there's a clear identity, that we play to kind of who we are, that we continue to try to, like we said, be good enough to take advantage of bad football. If we're doing some of those things, you're going to have to win some close games, right? You're going to have to win some close games in this league, and we'll have to do that. But no, I've never looked at what a successful season was. Obviously, we're here to win championships. That's what that goal is. Win the division. We've talked about this. Win the division, host home playoff games, and play for championships. So that's our job.
I saw recently one of your media rules for the guys is speak for yourself. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Well, he asked me what Eliot meant, and I said, well, I'm not going to speak for Eliot. I'm going to speak for me. So you guys are interviewing me. I'll answer questions about me and what I think. And if Wiggy's got something to say, he'll say it. And I'm not going to say, well, Wiggy thinks. How the hell do I know what Wiggy thinks?
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
We don't.
I'll let you know.
Nobody knows. Really,
nobody knows, right? Because.
But doesn't that make sense? I don't know. You guys.
Yeah.
You guys want to speak for me and how I think and everything else.
Listen,
I'll just speak for myself.
We dealt with a guy for a lot of years down here who wouldn't say. We tried to get him to say one thing during an interview. It was very difficult. So
how were those? I should go back and watch.
It was like pulling teeth. That's what it was.
The scariest Sunday night into Monday of my life.
How much?
3 years.
How much when it comes to your?
We have a support group.
Yeah.
Who you are as a coach? How much of that is Bill Belichick? How much of that do you think you learned from Bill?
I mean, quite a bit. Just as I learned a lot from Urban Meyer or Bill Cowher or Bill O'Brien and big BC guys over there.
Yeah.
And
Bill was on the show last week talking about your son being on the staff over there.
Tyler's helping out, and he's excited. And I'll tell you, I don't know how much time we have.
We have plenty.
No, I don't know how much time I have. I didn't mean you.
All right, what's the story?
We're here till 10.
I was hoping
you got plenty of time.
I was kind of
so he says.
I want to come down to the office.
So he's like after the first scrimmage, I said, how'd it go? He's like, well, we threw the ball okay. We couldn't really run. I said, what was it? He's like, they had some movements and stuff. He's helping out with the O-line, and he's like, the third group really didn't handle movement very well. And he's like, and the crazy thing is we false started 4 times, which I don't know how. We only used the same effing cadence every time. I texted back, welcome to coaching.
O-line's the hardest part for them this season, though.
I said, welcome to coaching, Tyler.
Now he knows what it's like to be on the other side. You know what's interesting, Mike? You bring up and you say you can only talk about you and the identity. What do you want the identity of this team to be? I know you talked to them. What is that?
Well, I mean, I want our fans to see a team that plays together, that has a playing team defense, that finishes, guys that are finishing around the football. We got O-linemen that are down the field. We have receivers that are, willing to protect the guy with the ball, a team that takes care of the football, that values the football, somebody that, is able to turn the football over and affect the quarterback. and then a team that makes great decisions. I think that those are important when you're out on the field. Is that we don't have guys that are the second guy in, or we're blindside blocking guys intentionally, and just like Marcus hit a big return a couple preseasons ago, and we got 3 guys that are high screening and using the rules and doing it the right way.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time.
It's great to see you.
Well, it's great to see you too, and we'll be back here. You got it every Monday, so just set the date 6:30 a.m.
Okay. And if I'm not here, I'll send Stretch.
All right.
All right. That is Mike Vrabel, head coach of the New England Patriots.